Good day and welcome to Let's Talk, the social media program produced and presented by the Caribbean Examinations Council. This is your first episode for July 2018. I am your host, Cleveland Sam. Today's topic on Let's Talk is CXC, a changing organization. And my guest is none other than the big man himself, the Registrar, the Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Examinations Council, Mr. Glenroy Cumberbatch. Registrar, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you, Cleveland.
The old saying says that change is the only thing that is constant. And it is fair to say that over the years, CXC has changed quite a bit. There is, in fact, a lot going on here at CXC. In the Registrar's recent blog published on July 12th, he said, and I quote, "CXC is changing. We are changing our procedures, our processes, and the systems which support them," end quote. Registrar, tell us about some of the process changes that are occurring here at CXC.
All right, thanks, Cleveland, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to all of our partners, our stakeholders. Over the years, CXC has moved from almost like a paper-based organization. And during that paper-based session, we had lots of different procedures that would say how to deal with paper, how to deal with this thing, that thing, and the third thing. And the work instructions would be very precise. We have moved since then to an electronic platform. The policies are the same. The procedures are slightly different because we are not dealing necessarily with paper. And the processes themselves have changed. And since 2010, for example, which was one of our major changes when we moved to e-registration.
Right.
Before that, we used to fill up pieces of paper, blog it in, send it through, then we had to scan it and to get information. So those processes were precise. For e-registration, the information is presented at the school,
right,
or at the source, or at the ministry, and then comes to CXC for processing. So we can spend more time trying to check to ensure that how these candidates are registered, how the names are registered, whether it is Glenroy D. Cumberbatch or Glenroy D. Cumberbatch, consistently, which makes it easier when we are searching for this person over a period of time to have the name and the unique identifier attached. So we can follow that particular person throughout that process. In 2013, we introduced e-marking.
Right.
And we introduced e-marking along with our regular marking. And after a year, we then measured the correlation between the two. How did they perform? And we were confident that the e-marking did not put us in any disadvantage in moving towards the electronic marking. In fact, the reliabilities from the e-marking were a little higher than those of the face-to-face marking. So those processes, once again, had to change. Like moving people from country to country, that was reduced, and then significantly, and then finally not have it at all. The approach to how we monitor ourselves at CXC will change. We would monitor from a center, and we will look at pull sheets of paper from time to time. Now we can monitor online and get real life information on who is marking, how they're marking, how close to tolerance they are, how they're not. So those processes and so on have changed in those regards.
Right. So was there a period when we were doing both the electronic marking and the face-to-face marking?
Yes, there was a period when we did it in 2013, then we introduced it in January, and then in June. We had subjects that we did both the electronic marking and the face-to-face marking.
Right.
And then we took the scores from both of those, and we do a correlation between the scores from one to the other, just to make sure for ourselves, to satisfy ourselves that we were not doing any harm to persons once we moved towards that.
Right, and then was it a situation where you introduced subjects over a period of time?
We introduced subjects over a period of time. The subjects that were ready first, that were best suited for the e-marking. E-marking also required that the AB1 booklets, or the booklets that you use to put your answers in, you get one question booklet, and then you get the AB1 booklet that you put you write your answers in. So with electronic marking, everything was in one booklet. The booklet with your questions and your answers. So that was a change in the process that we use for that.
And how did markers adapt to this particular change from the paper-based to the e-marking?
For some, it was easy, but for the majority, it was not. It was not, and we value the markers. The markers, who were mainly teachers, were always part of CXC and part of CXC stakeholders.
Right.
And from the inception, it was seen that teachers are crucial to what we do at CXC if we are to get the kind of quality that we want. And they get the qualifications that the students working towards. if we can get those right, then teachers are a critical part of what we do. So we started out by having teachers as our markers, and we still have a significant amount of teachers as our markers. But some of the teachers have said to us, when you move to that electronic thing, I'm not for that. And others have said to us that in the initial stages that what we were paying was not sufficient, and they were not. But there were some who said to us, look, part of why we did this e-marking is that every year we get a chance to meet with our colleagues from across the region, and we can
They
discuss
valued the interaction.
And we discuss teaching, we discuss different kind of things, and we learn from each other. That we recognize would have gone. We've tried to replace it in a way by using virtual subjects association. And we also have a plan in place to have a conference every 2 years where teachers will be there and teachers will be the presenters and sharing their knowledge and their experience with each other. So we are trying to provide for that camaraderie, that professional discussion.
Periodically. I mean, it's not every year as it used to be.
Year. And in every year it used to be maybe about 1,500 teachers who got the opportunity because those were the ones who traveled, but we're hoping to get a large amount of teachers involved now in the Virtual Subjects Association and in the conferences when we have them.
All right. And we have moved now to electronic testing as of last year, January. Can you tell us about that and how that is going?
Well, we started the electronic testing in January last year with multiple choice papers only. And that went relatively well. After that, we did a survey, and with the exception of 2 students who said, yeah, we don't mind it too much, but we like to have our paper in our hands. We like to feel our paper.
Touch and feel the paper.
And there were a couple who were uncomfortable with the screen being seen by people behind them and feel that they may copy from them. What they were not aware of is that the questions can be scrambled. So your question 4 may not be my question 4. So they were unaware that the questions may scramble and look different depending on whose screen they're on at the time.
Right. So we are now in 2018, and we have also introduced. We are still doing e-testing, and we have moved now to the paper 2s.
Right. We have moved now to the short answers, and we have also allowed persons to bring their own devices. So we've gone from the school just preparing their own devices, but say, okay, you bring your own device, and that has been working well also. What we make sure that the device matches the requirements for e-testing. So that information was sent. They knew what the information was. Why you bring your own device is such an important factor is you do not want the platform on which you do the test to be a determinant for how you perform on the test. So we want to eliminate that as much as possible. If you have your own device that you use every day, you know how to pinch, how to expand, you know how to twist, you know all the moves on that. And you're taking a test with that, it is easier for you to manipulate. As opposed to going in the room and seeing a device with a
new computer, for example.
And having to learn the techniques in manipulating while at the same time demonstrate your knowledge in the particular subject. So we will measure the bring your own device, and we will do our own analysis just to be confident in our minds that what we are saying and what we are doing is in fact proven by data.
And how... So apart from these students last year, I know that this year we, as you said, we went into the paper 2. How have territories been adjusting or their expectations in terms of the e-testing?
But territories have been, there were some territories that have gone into relationships with the telecommunication companies and the electrical companies. And they say to the telecommunication companies, for these 2 hours or these 3 hours, I want you to increase the bandwidth at this thing, and I don't want you to go anywhere near that place to do any repairs. And they also speak to the electrical companies, we don't want any disruptions in that area while the exams are going on. So there are those kind of relationships that are developing. But generally, it has gone well, and I think the one that stands out for me most is the BVI.
British Virgin Islands.
Right, the British Virgin Islands that had 2 major catastrophes last year. They had a flood, and then a few months afterwards, they had a hurricane. And they were at the point when they were wondering, can we really take CXC examinations this year? Or the places where we store the papers that destroyed, they went to get, see if the police can help them with the storage of the papers. They didn't have any place to store them. The banks were damaged, so they can store them in the vault. So there was no way, basically, we're going to bite the bullet, and we're going to do all of those papers that are available. We'll do the paper 1s, the paper 2s, the paper 3-2s, all of them. And it went extremely well. And we're thankful for them. We work with them to make sure it went well. And I'm saying, and I've said if a country in that kind of disaster and turmoil can take on the examinations and do them, the students' responses were very good. When you asked them about it, they were very comfortable with it. And we're hoping that that will be an example to other countries who say, well, we can't do it. That here's a country that took it on, and they did it very effectively. But also remember that 6 countries had problems during that hurricane.
Yes.
And some of them who were leading in 2017 decided, no, we don't want to take the chance in doing it this year. Right. But generally, we have more people who did the exam this year. The numbers have gone up, who did the exam in 2017. In 2019, at the last council meeting, more countries agreed that they would start moving towards the testing in 2019.
Right, and we want to just let our audience know that we're talking about electronic testing as opposed to online testing, which, I mean, there's a critical but subtle difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Electronic testing can be done 3 ways, at least 3 ways. One is to be online.
Right.
The other one is to start online and finish online. So you can start online and you continue doing your tests, but you have to be online when you finish.
Continuously.
So you can upload it when it's finished. And the third one, which may be more popular to some people, is that you can actually download the test before it starts on a device, cache it, and you will write your exam, and then once it is finished, the invigilator or somebody will upload it back to the system. So you don't have to say, oh, I have faulty internet, so I can't do it. There are 3 different ways in which you can do electronic testing with the Caribbean Examinations Council.
Okay. So we're talking here about electronic testing, not necessarily online testing. At some point, we would love to move to online testing once the telecommunications companies can guarantee the bandwidth and stuff like that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right. So we are looking at the changes of CXC. CXC, a changing organization. That is the topic for today's Let's Talk. And I'm chatting with Mr. Glenroy Cumberbatch, the Registrar and CEO of CXC. We're also moving towards some e-learning and e-question banking and so on. Everything at CXC these days seems to be about E for electronics. So tell us about e-learning and e-question banking.
E-learning, sometime back we tried to have some arrangements with some companies. And we went out for tender, we sent out some invitations, and Nosemaster, which is run by 2 guys from the UK, was our, at that point we call it a learners portal.
Right.
We were trying to get information for all our learners to go to. One of the things that we don't recognize a lot is that the majority of our candidates, the majority of people who register, are people 17 plus.
Right.
Which suggests that quite a few of them are out of school. And some of them don't have access to institutions to get any tuition. And from their answers, you can see that they can give you some worldly answers, but they are not necessarily steep in the theories of what
so they're lacking the depth.
They're lacking the depth or the principles or policies of the study
subject,
that you're trying to get them to. So if we can make some more material available for them, free in some cases or purchase in some cases, that would help them significantly in preparing for their examinations. So that is part of the drive, to make sure that any person who wants to take a CXC exam has access to good information that can help them prepare for the exam. It does not make sense for us not to provide information that can help you prepare. We began that by giving a syllabus that would give people guidance on how the questions would be asked, the kind of questions and so on. So we want to go a step further and give you some actual activities that you can do. Another thing that we're doing is looking at the subject reports or the school reports that people may know that were done over many years. And in those reports, they identify the things that they believe are impediments to you getting a higher grade. We want to take those things that they mentioned and develop little video clips or other kinds of information that the candidate can now go and say, okay, this is what they say that we do incorrectly, but here are some things that you can do to correct yourself, and provide practice tests and other things so that they can practice and get feedback and prepare themselves better for the examination. So that will be done during the e-learning.
And that will be done through the Nosemaster portal as it is right now.
And the Nosemaster portal as it is also. So we link all of that up and give people different choices. And in the Nosemaster portal, you can also create your class. You can create a profile for yourself. So in the Learning Hub, we don't have that feature as yet. So we will link the two. Nosemaster will be part of the Learning Hub and the other things there for you. In the EQ banking, persons used to write questions, They will send them the CXC on paper. Then we have to take those questions and enter them into a bank. Sometimes they take long for them to be paid because they have to go through all that process to be dealt with. Then those questions will be taken to a meeting, and you have to take them over. So they go through a long kind of process to do it.
Inefficient.
Well, so if you go through that process, now you can stay in your home and you can write items for CXC, log on to our e-banking system, and send those items to us. We do the first check in those items and make sure they meet the requirements, the table of specification that we give you. We give you an item. We say we want an item of fractions. That item should be on the addition of fractions. It should be at a facility level of X, and it should be application or comprehension or whichever thing. We'll tell you what we
whichever
want,
level you're testing.
whichever level, and you prepare those for us and you send them to us. We check to make sure they are there. We check to make sure they're not discriminating against gender, they're not discriminating against religion, any of those things. And once they meet those criteria, then we say, okay, we'll pay you half your money. We will then do the pre-test on them. And if they're good, you get the other half of your money. If they're not good, we send back the items to you and say, okay, you need to check the total.
Make adjustments.
And make adjustments on them. And once you do that, then you'll get another half of your money. So now that takes us through to pre-test. We get the results of the pre-test, and they are now in the official bank, ready to go towards paper setting.
And this is all done via an electronic process as opposed to sending it via paper.
Right. The officer then takes the table of specification for the test, and you go through and you select the items that you want for that year's test to put on the list. All that again done electronically. And then the part that we were waiting for that we will have very shortly is the assembly piece that automatically then take the items that you have selected and assemble the paper for you. In the format, in the structure, everything. That paper can go directly to your portal to be given as an e-test, or to the printery to be given as a
paper-based test.
So that is the e-banking.
So
process.
how can the average person out there who may have expertise in one of our subject areas become part of this EQ banking?
Well, they send the information to us. If we know, they can go on our website and they can send information to us. And we get the CV or we get samples of what they do. And depending on the quality of it, we will encourage them. Or if we are visiting those countries to do any training, or we can invite them to come to the sessions to do item writing training. And then once they show us their skills in that, they can become then part of that system.
Because CXC is constantly looking for
We're constantly looking for questions, and the questions shouldn't come from us. And the importance of having a region which stretches from Belize down to Suriname. The cultural differences, even though we're all from the Caribbean, there are cultural differences. So the goal is to get as many questions from across the region as you can, and not all your questions coming from any one territory or any two territories. So
it represents the diversity.
It represents the diversity of the Caribbean, while at the same time getting to the concepts that you want to test, the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude that you want to test.
So the last E thing we're going to be talking about is e-certification, and that is something that's coming up in a couple of months or within the next year or so. Tell us about the e-certification.
Well, the e-certification is an exciting thing. There is a belief that about 60% of certificates that are around the place are fake.
Not in the Caribbean, maybe in other regions of the world, not in the Caribbean.
And people suffer with this problem all the time. When you bring a certificate, is it real? Is it a thing? You got to call the university, you got to do this and so on. What has been happening recently is that people have been using the blockchain technology, have been used for Bitcoin and other things like that, which seem to be extremely secure. They're trying to use that now for certification. So once you get your certificate through a block cert, then that can be authenticated by whoever you send it to. So you send it to a university, you send it to a potential employer. They can then go and take the code from you, put it onto our verification site, and if that certificate was produced by CXC, it would say, yes, we verified that this is right. If it is not produced on CXC, all red lights will go off, and you will know that
it's fake.
This is not good. So that's one of the easiest ways of doing it. But the bigger way to it is for countries and governments themselves to have an idea of how many people within that country has KIT mathematics or KIT computer science. So a person wants to set up a business in the Caribbean or in a country, and to say, I want enough qualified people
in a particular
area.
Right.
The country can search that database very quickly to see how many people they had over the last 5 years who have this kind of qualification. We know that we have 200 people here. You want 50 people? We have 200 people who have that qualification. So you can come and set up your business with the political stability, the good weather, all those other things.
English as a major language.
And we also have people who are qualified in the area at a fairly high level that can serve you and be part of your workforce. And remember, that's one of the main reasons why CXC is around, to ensure that we have a certified workforce. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move away from the E stuff. I hope that you can look back at this Let's Talk and learn about all of the E initiatives that CXC is involved in at the moment. But Registrar, as at the recent CARICOM Heads of Government conference held in Jamaica, the revised agreement establishing the council was signed by member states. Now, this is another change that has occurred for CXC. Explain to our audience the significance of the revised agreement.
Well, if there are a couple of things that have changed, but for purposes of this discussion, I'll point to one particular one. It was a fairly clumsy way to get new people to become part of the Caribbean Examinations Council. So what we try to do is to make it still very democratic, but make it easier for countries to join. It used to have to be a unanimous vote for any person to join the CXC organization. So everybody had to be there, everybody had to vote. There was no absentee voting, there was no proxy voting, there was absolutely nothing. So if everybody was not there and present at the meeting, you can't agree on bringing on any person, because all the countries had to more or less agree that this thing should come. Part of our strategic goal is to widen our geographical areas for the Caribbean Examinations Council. And there is a difference in pay between those who are members and those who are not. So when we try to expand into the Netherlands Antilles, or we try to expand into Africa, or into parts of Europe and parts of the United States, then how do we get those people involved in CXC? And the idea is to really get them involved, get them to become part of the members, get part of the diversity. They will also be writing items. They also be part of our committees. They also be part of all these things. So to widen that diversity.
So you broaden the base now of the resource persons as well as the student population.
The student population and the diversity that stands within the Caribbean Examination Council. So that we make it now. I think it is 60% of those who vote by proxy, in presence, or there are 3 ways you can vote: by proxy, you can be present, or you can mail in your vote. I think those are the 3 ways. So if you're not there, you can send your vote. You can have somebody vote for you if you give the right documentation and so on, or you can be present at the meeting and vote, and we can have persons coming on board. It's easier. 60% of the group said yes, and we can go ahead and have that membership.
Okay, so in terms of real terms, what does that mean? Now currently we have 16 English-speaking territories. What are some of the other territories in the immediate Caribbean that we're looking to become members?
Well, the Dutch Antilles mainly. I don't think Suriname has signed on as a member yet. Either. Bahamas is part of the Caribbean that haven't signed on. Haiti is another one. So there are a number of countries that can become part of it. We have had discussions with Haiti about them joining CXC, but there are some infrastructural things that they have to get in place first. We had discussions with the Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire. Part of it is that they are still part of the Dutch government, and they are looking at it. They have approved an English curriculum, and they have approved for the Caribbean Examination Council to be the body to examine it. But we now have to move to the next stage of first of all, the MOU, because we have an MOU with St. Martin, and I think we have an MOU with
Saba.
So we want to move to the point now where they become full members, because they can get the benefits of full membership, include training, include all the other things that the countries that are members, and also they will pay their part in terms of the contribution that is made to CXC by the other countries.
So now, does the new agreement allow for something like associate membership and so on?
Still, for associate membership, you can have associate membership also. So persons who don't necessarily want full membership can get associate membership.
Right. One of the other things in the previous agreement there were only 2 of the regional universities who were members, because at the time in 1972, you only had the University of Guyana and the University of the West Indies. Is that now changed so that the other regional universities can be a part of the council?
I think the main challenge with that as part of the council was that the 2 universities were, there were only 2 universities.
Right.
And the chairmanship can only come from
Rotate,
the university.
right.
However, that is changed. So
Okay.
the chairmanship can now come from the council itself.
Okay.
So once you're a member of council, you can be nominated as chairman and selected as chairman.
Okay, another significant change.
Right,
Yeah.
which is a change. And the universities, depending on the value and how thing, they can be part of the council as we move ahead.
All right, so we have been talking to the Registrar of the Caribbean Examinations Council about changes at CXC. Registrar, any final thoughts?
Well, yes, there are a lot of changes, but I want also to remind people of what remains the same. And it's clear to us that we are not changing our policies.
Right.
Our policies are enduring, they are solid, they come from good research, and they have been proven over the years. So we can maintain those policies and keep going. We haven't changed our partnerships. We're still having great engagements with ministries of education in particular, but ministries in general. We're having engagements with teachers, with parents, with learners, with universities, with business people. We continue those engagements, and we're upping those engagements, not only through face-to-face, but also through electronic means. And our commitment remains. Our commitment is everlasting. It is to this region. It is to making sure that we have quality, and more so than anything else, we are committed to certifying the workforce for this region.
Right. So today is the 17th?
17th.
The 17th of July. And I know that a lot of these subjects are being marked or coming close to be marked. Do you want to just encourage the markers out there who might be looking at the program to...
I would just say to the markers who are out there are 39 of the subjects that are finished marking already. I sure you don't want to be the last one to be marked. So if there's any inspiration, just continue, keep striving, keep pushing, so that we can get these results out and students can know exactly how they do and they are not too jittery. But the way things are going, I am confident that the results will be out on the day that we publish. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Registrar, for being on Let's Talk today.
Thank you.
Remember, we want to hear from you as well. Your thoughts about the Caribbean Examinations Council's contribution to the region. Send your comments to cxcezo@cxc.org. Or of course, you can post them on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/mycxc. Remember, you can also check the latest issue of the Caribbean Examiner online at cxc.org in the Media Center. And please, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to the CXC Monthly Communications Bulletin. I am Cleveland Sam on behalf of Matthew Tull, who has been taking care of the technical issues. Goodbye for now.